here, let's start early.
That's a little slow.
All right, good. Let's go to approval of minutes from February.
I'll move there, approved.
Is there a second?
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, they're approved. President's remarks. I'm not gonna make any remarks, because we're all gonna be doing a lot of talking down at the old beach. No, one remark. For this March meeting, as will come up when we talk about old business and the beach, if each one of us goes out and knocks on 3 or 4 neighbors' doors and asks them to go to the March meeting, the March meeting is gonna be pretty important. We're gonna be talking about spending some money to see what we do next. Also to get a feel for how does the community feel about us doing anything about the beach? We have feelings, obviously, but how does the community feel about them? Do they really not care? If they don't care, then what are we beating our heads against the wall? Although, but then I will point out that if we don't care, well then, I think we have to reduce our dues a little because we're collecting money for the maintenance of the beach.
Well, this is like the property values go down.
Well,
but if
that's
we
the
don't
other
have
thing.
any-
The
yeah, that's
the
just
beach
amended
itself,
here. It's
the
an
beach
amended.
itself is appraised at $90,000, I think, as a value to the community. But anyway,
And it is an amenity to
it is,
people
yeah.
that would buy.
People are paying in their mandatory assessment to have a beach.
That's right, it's there, I mean, it's there. And so, that's another thought. But there are various ways to come about it.
Can I add to that, Bridget?
Yeah.
If your neighbor says, I'm gonna be out of town, or I can't, I've got a dentist appointment, or, whatever, get a couple of, or maybe 4 or 5 proxies,
Our bylaws don't allow.
not proxies,
Absentee
Absentee
ballot.
absentee ballots.
But what are you voting on?
Well,
I mean,
we'll be voting on
To do task 1 or 2, one and 2 on
Oh, I
the.
thought we're voting on the nominating.
The nominees.
Oh, yeah, there's also the
The
nominating
nominees.
committee.
The
Okay,
nominees.
can we, I never thought about that, can we have an absentee ballot for that?
well, of course,
The nominees?
all you have to do is type it up.
Okay, so then it's, don't I need to?
It may not even come to a vote, but we don't know that. You have to approve, what happens at the March meeting?
At the March meeting,
There's a
the
presentation.
board accepts the recommendation of the nominating committee.
And the
It's
proxy
presented.
would be to accept.
It's presented, and if anybody else wants to run, they can stand up and I want to run. But the board has to accept the slate. That's the purpose of a committee.
So the vote would be to accept the slate as presented.
That's right.
Okay, because that's the rub a little bit, it's the
Yeah, well,
board
if it doesn't come to
accepting it,
that.
and if there's not a quorum, then you can't even do business, how do you present it? But if
That
it's
doesn't
worded like that,
But that doesn't solve this.
No,
Well,
no,
that
but,
would be
but
two,
just
but that
at
would be
least
two.
getting,
but it
But
gives a
the
quorum so
candidates
people can
present
make
it.
decisions.
Yeah.
But doesn't the
No,
board
it's not
accept it
quorum.
tonight and then?
No, but we
the
can have an
whole
absentee
March
ballot on that question.
An absentee ballot is not a quorum.
Except
It
the-
counts
toward a
our
quorum.
bylaws allows it to count towards a
For a
quorum.
quorum?
it counts toward a quorum, yes.
Our bylaws allow that.
But the board
Yeah, it's
doesn't
kind
need
of
a
funky,
quorum.
Mike, I agree.
Board doesn't need a quorum to accept the slate.
If you, tonight you mean,
No, at the general meeting.
you can't conduct business if you don't
You
have a
don't
quorum.
have a, it's the board
Quorum of
doesn't
the
have to
board.
meet.
Yeah, well,
I
yeah,
can
but-
make a recommendation to the board tonight, and you can agree to accept it or not accept it. We don't need a general meeting.
Yeah, but I think at the general meeting,
then
We
you-
could make a
presented.
motion to accept,
if we have a
The
quorum,
slate.
we can say that, I don't know how many candidates there are for how many
Now,
positions.
that's absolutely correct.
And then we need a quorum.
If there are no other people standing up at that point,
No.
you can say, if there is no contested,
Right.
if the seats are all filled, then you can say, since there are no other self-nominees or,
Yeah, but for that, we need a quorum.
Yes.
yes,
So why don't you present the candidates tonight and let the board accept them, so that it's done?
it's in the bylaws, it has to be done in March.
Okay.
But this-
At
this-
At the March meeting,
Oh,
At the
March
membership.
meeting.
Yeah,
So it has to be done at the membership
yeah,
meeting.
Peter's right.
okay.
All right,
Okay.
all
So
right.
I'll work up absentee ballot.
Just remind me, the December meeting, was that?
Form the nominating It wasn't,
And then you said the next one will constitute a quorum.
no, September was not, it gets confusing. September was not a quorum, so then there was the vote at the September meeting, that the next meeting would be held regardless of the number attended. And that was, so there was not a true quorum, but we had the meeting because of the September vote, but you can't hold that same vote in December for March.
You're saying it resets, you
Yeah.
have to start over.
Yes.
Okay. All right. All right, anyway, well, that's the end of what I gotta say. Then the Osprey stand at the beach, Jose is not here.
He's not, and he sent me an email yesterday saying that he's out of town on business. So I
Well,
said,
the-
whenever he's ready to come and
The
present.
other thing that I found out from Eric and Asha this morning standing on the beach, that all they have to do is get a hold of, what was it, DNA,
DNR can do it for you.
and they
If
do
you're
it for you.
doing
He
it
actually-
at the club.
Yes, he came in and told
But
me
I don't
that
know
the
if
other
there
day.
has to be a distance from the other.
I don't know, but
There's
he
some-
actually came in to tell me that the other day, that there'd be no cost. But he said, don't tell anybody, I wanna come and surprise them.
No, well,
So,
no,
I
the
You
only,
ruined it, Asha.
the only question I have is where are we gonna put this thing? I mean, exactly where are we gonna put it, considering that we're thinking about putting some sort of break wall or something up at
Yeah.
the beach? Where are we gonna put this osprey nest?
And it can't be too close to the one that the club's gonna be.
Probably.
Yeah,
Where's
I
the
don't-
club putting it?
I imagine DNR
I
probably
think
makes that
it's,
determination.
I don't know for sure, but I thought it
Seen
was
this as close as 100 yards.
closer towards the pier area.
See, we-
But don't write that down in stone, because
No, and wouldn't DNR kind of make that determination as,
You would
okay,
think,
there's
but-
one here, now you have to go that
I
far.
would think they would, but.
Are
I
they
don't
putting
know.
it in?
DNR
Yeah,
would
they
do
will put it
everything.
in, they do everything.
He
We
wants,
just have to
Well,
request
but
it.
you know, do we want them saying, okay, we're gonna put it right here, and it's the middle of the beach?
because that might be where
Oh,
the
no.
breakwater is.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what I mean. We should say, yeah, you can do it, but we want you to do it there.
Or not in this particular area.
Because,
Yeah,
we're not, right.
Tony, can I say something? There's an expert who knows all the birds down there, where the osprey, where the eagle nests are, and rather than us just saying, oh, we think it would be nice there, I think we ought to ask this person who did the wildlife photography and
Okay.
everything, did the presentation down at the Drum Point, he knows where all the nests are and where the eagle's nests are, and they aren't compatible with
Oh,
each
I know,
other.
yeah.
So you really have
Yeah.
to know what you're doing before you just stick
Yeah.
stick an osprey nest.
And that's Jose Acaza, right? The photographer that
The
came.
photographer
Yes,
that
that's,
came
he was
down.
on the agenda for tonight, but
Well, is
he's
he
out
the
of
guy
town.
that, is he the guy that's the expert?
He that came down and did the presentation at the Drum Point, that was very well
Oh, okay.
received. Were you there,
Yeah,
Jim?
but also there was another, his mentor was there, and he goes around and he knows, he's Walker and he takes all the pictures.
Rick? Yeah,
Yeah, so I don't know if Rick,
They
He's
know
the big-
the wildlife down there, but it's St. Powers
All right, okay, well,
Mountains.
let's ask
So
them where
I
they,
think
where
we
they,
ought
where
to-
they propose putting it.
yeah.
DNR may not, they don't care, they just, you know,
Well, yeah, maybe they don't. I mean, let's ask them.
and
where
maybe
they
it doesn't make
propose.
any
Maybe
difference.
their
But we
equipment
did-
wouldn't let them put it just anywhere.
But Tony's point about if we're considering doing something with the beach, it shouldn't be in that spot.
And we don't wanna put it in the middle of the beach area.
God, no,
Right.
well, the birds won't come there, you know.
How do you know?
Because if it's disturbed, they won't.
Birds of
go
a
there.
feather flock together.
Yeah, I've seen you out there catching fish.
No, I just think we ought to talk to him and get his
Oh, of
recommendation.
course.
Oh, yeah, no,
Well, he's,
I didn't realize that they were
yeah,
birds of a
first.
feather.
Ah. I just left it at, when you're in town and you're ready
Yeah.
to be able to come, let me know.
Yeah,
You're welcome anytime, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, there's no hurry on that.
Yeah.
All right, office update.
Okay. Not a lot to report, I've been posting checks like crazy.
Tell everybody I paid my dues.
And Tony Sprouts is paying his dues, how about you guys? I don't have any dues to pay anymore, just saying.
I usually carry it around with me for 6 months before I turn
This
it
time
in.
it was only 1 month.
That's right, it's only a month.
So for the current fiscal year, we're at about 76%, which is pretty good. We always reach 80 or so by the end of the fiscal year, so we're certainly on track for that. I don't have the numbers for next fiscal year and how much has come in, although I think it is on your balance sheet, how much we've collected. But Jack will talk about that maybe. the other thing, I had an email the other day from a woman at the county who takes care of the special tax district and how much, you know, we send out for billing and so on. And she told me to delete 2 properties because they now were owned by the commissioners. And I think they're on Brownsby Hall Road, as I recall, but I called her and, what's up with this? What do you mean the commissioners now own them? And she said, well, yes, that they had been devalued to the point where there was a foreclosure. They were devalued to the point and the commissioners took them.
What does that mean?
They are now
Wow.
owned by the county
So they can sell
commissioners.
them?
I don't know. So I had to give
That
credit.
sounds old.
I thought it was very odd, and I
Yeah.
thought maybe we would wanna take it up with Mike, maybe, Mike Hart. So I had to credit, a total of $1,334. It was one of those that no dues were being paid and for some time and so on. And I always credit when there's a foreclosure, that's the law, that's what I have to do. But I just thought it was odd. And my second thought was, golly, there's so many properties over in there that are worth nothing.
Right.
And it would be nice to get them off the rolls, so to
Yeah.
speak. Why can't they do that?
Yeah.
Why don't they just go ahead and take them all? Put them in green space.
Yeah, because it's in the middle of nowhere, that's why.
I think these 2 were on Brownsby Hall Road, if I recall correctly. I'm pretty sure. So
Yeah, they were
I just
down
thought it was the oddest thing.
by Deer Drive, Deer.
That way.
Oh,
Yeah,
so
you
true.
did.
Darren
Down
Johnson,
here.
yeah, I remember seeing some.
Well, there's a whole line of them down there that are state
I think
owned,
here
I
too.
think.
Uh-huh.
They are. I think up here,
Interesting.
I think right in here,
Mm-hmm.
those are state owned, I think.
Wow.
That's the spot. When I first started, I noticed them.
Maybe we should get some purple tape.
I need to update that
Purple,
really bad.
purple for Royal.
Yeah,
Well, yeah.
there should be like 60 white tags for the land trust. They own
We haven't kept that
a
up.
lot. Because when the fees started increasing, people, they were okay paying $10 a year,
So-
but
so-
not 129.
So in theory, if property values go up and there's a market, the county can then sell those properties.
I suppose they could.
You know, thinking about it,
But they
that's
don't
happened.
perk, that's why
They
they,
probably
Ah,
don't
they don't.
perk. I don't know.
no, they don't.
Oh, they don't.
Okay.
Oh.
That's why they went to foreclosure.
If we ever go on city type sewage.
Yeah,
that
that too.
They would have value
Property
then.
Like 50 years.
Which is why people hang on to them in case they do go to that.
Timeline.
So anyway, there's that. Oh, the flooring, I'm still in the middle of trying to figure that out. I have some other prices. I talked to the guy again today at Flooring America, and his estimate for all 4 rooms came in almost $5,000, which is higher than what Lumber Liquidators was. So I called him, and he explained, number one, that by my requesting a separate pricing on each one, they had to charge a minimum amount for each installation. So that increased.
They'd be installed at the same time.
I know, it's just their rule, so,
Should just open it.
Well, maybe,
Yeah,
maybe they're
I
gonna
know.
disqualify.
Yeah,
So-
but if you then said, okay, we're gonna do it, and you then had them do the whole job,
Yeah, give
yeah,
me
well, he
a
said,
price for the whole
he
job.
did, he sent another estimate. He said if I price them all together,
right?
it's a little bit less. And so I had him price it with lower priced vinyl planks, glue down vinyl planks. He said, can you take those? And I'm like, I said, I don't know, I don't even know why I'm the one doing this. I understand nothing, except, look, I want that color. I just don't. So maybe
I don't care what
somebody
it's made
wants
out of, I
to
want
take it
that color.
over. So that brings the price down, all areas, glue down, vinyl and vinyl flooring would be $35.42, which is comparable to what Lumber Liquidators was offering, which is probably why it's similar. They were giving me one price instead of the separate prices. I also asked for a price on what if we do carpet in those 2 rooms, because carpet's less expensive. And so carpet and then vinyl flooring in the bathroom and the kitchen, be about $3,000. And I called Lowe's. Jenny, you mentioned I should call Lowe's, and I haven't heard back from them yet, so. I don't know what to say. I really.
Keep up the good work.
Thank you, Jenny, I really appreciate that.
Report back to us in a month.
So that's where I am with that, still working on it. And also there's a newsletter that's gonna
The
be
carpet
coming
would-
out soon.
So the
It's
carpet
all
would be where?
finished,
Where the carpet.
Except
Boy,
for,
Where it is now,
Where?
in the
because I need to have
community
it
emergency center.
delivered by March 11th.
Has it ever flooded or anything like that in that area? Is there a reason we're
And you're
not
on
doing,
video.
well, I guess the Laura, has the back.
Well, those carpets are about 25 years
Oh,
old.
no, they gotta go, they gotta go.
Oh, I should've
There's no
known that.
reason to have, I mean, that's not traffic, there's not a lot of traffic.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the road would be fine. Not a high pile.
No, no, no.
Yeah,
So working,
it's a commercial carpet.
just a commercial
Yeah,
carpet in there. You don't need,
But somebody didn't have to back in with
I mean,
it.
those are original carpets that came with the house.
Which
So,
was,
I mean, it's high time.
yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, I don't see where carpet would be a problem as long as it's not in a real high traffic area.
Well, and that's what he and I discussed on the phone today. I said, well, how much traffic do you have? And he said, well, you know, when I think about it, not that much. This is the road that has the traffic.
Right.
I had no idea when I started this venture that vinyl or whatever was so expensive. So, I don't know, carpet in those 2 rooms and vinyl in the other 2, I guess. Or the kitchen, really, we don't even have to do the kitchen. Peter pointed that out. It's not in
The
bad shape.
kitchen's fine,
The bathroom needs to be done. It looks crummy.
but there's
It's
no
all
reason,
asbestos.
there's not a blemish in the kitchen.
Well, in the corners there. I just thought, gee, if we're doing it, let's check it all out, you know. But
All right, but you'll figure it out. Good. What else?
I'm finished.
Good. All right, let's just go around the table and do committee reports as we go around. Mike, let's start with you.
I don't have anything.
All right. Asha.
I don't have anything either.
I just wanted to mention that I submitted an article for the newsletter. We talked about having, talking about non-native invasive species and adding them to the newsletter. And I wrote an article, it's a little longer than what I'm usually gonna write for future newsletters, only because it was the first one, and I focused on English ivy because it's horrible here.
And some people love it.
I
It's
love
just
it.
like
On the
Phragmites.
trees,
It's just
Oh,
like Phragmites.
but it's good
You
ground
go-
cover.
it's great ground for the trees
Yeah,
and
the trees.
It's great ground cover,
Yeah.
great home for the rats.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Why I don't go outside.
English ivy is one, rats love it.
well, between Riverview and Chestnut, it's all over the place. Oh, it's horrible. And I go down there all the time, I'm just like, oh. So, anyway,
Well,
so we
you
did
don't have
that.
to worry about those trees. Yeah, you'll kill them sooner or later.
We
It's
need
true.
the trees.
No,
And then they'll fall on somebody's
Where you
house.
see all,
it never killed
are these
our
privately
trees that
owned
were
or?
out in front.
No,
You
they,
didn't have
a lot of them are vacant lots,
They
so,
do.
They were
but I mean,
there- they were
it
there
is
for 20
privately owned
years.
as well.
Oh,
And I noticed driving by today, the tree behind here, you know, on this lot, is just full of ivy, so.
We killed it off once.
Have you? I mean,
and is
Chopped
it
it
English
off.
ivy?
I mean, it does
It's not
come back
poison,
up, I
is
mean, how long ago, but.
It was a really good stand of poison ivy.
Of
Yeah,
course
English
it's
ivy
not
is
English
cousin
ivy.
to poison.
Not English ivy, you're talking about English ivy, not poison ivy.
That stuff's horrible.
But,
I don't know what that is.
anyway, and then also, I know that, I don't know if y'all know that China shames jaywalkers by posting their pictures on videos, you know? And I was hoping we could do the same thing for people that don't pick up after their dogs.
Oh,
Oh,
boy.
but you
But
gotta
you have to
catch
catch
them.
them in the
You
act.
gotta catch
Well,
them.
no, I caught somebody today on Beretta, and he just starts walking away, and I said, excuse me, do you need a bag? And I think he thought I was selling drugs or something.
Oh,
He was like, huh? And I said, your dog just did that, do you need a bag? And he says, no, I'm going home to get my shovel and I'll be back.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, right.
He was shoveling dry.
You should have taken his picture.
Yeah, well, yeah, so I was wondering if we could put the pictures on our Facebook
Have
page.
we put that, I did put some, we put it.
Kim, you're the prime photographer.
You know, our Facebook page doesn't get much use, I thought we could, start by doing that, but.
Do we have we had, I'm sure blurbs in the newsletter about picking up after your dog, I'm sure. we
Oh,
have.
yes.
And nobody,
Do we have signs anywhere, or is it
No.
not, we just don't
No.
do that, or?
And once
People that
again,
don't pick up, don't read the
don't
sign.
read the
Right,
sign,
right.
they don't care, and if they did read the sign, some of them might
They
say,
wouldn't care.
Well, also too, not only the dog waste, but like people will empty out their ashtrays on the street.
Oh, that's horrible, oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
I don't know what, to do with these people.
I don't
I thought we stopped doing that when we were like 15.
know. Who lives in Smoke's anymore?
That's always my surprise as well, yes.
Yeah.
And that's
Anyway,
it, that's
that's
your pet
it,
peeves
yeah.
for today?
Yeah,
Okay,
that's
thank you. Jack?
Now, budget looks in good shape. We do have about $49,000 that we haven't spent for snow. This must be the first time we've spent zero. on snow.
Oh, right?
Isn't it?
Yeah,
Yes,
knock on wood,
it's
right?
fantastic. I love it.
We can still have an event in March.
I know,
That's
yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
Or even April.
Yeah, so, yeah,
Yeah, we can.
yes.
Yeah.
Happened before.
If we get through that, then we'll be in good shape. We also have to start planning for the finance committee to do the budget, to be finished by June 1, no later, so that Rhea can put it in the newsletter for the June meeting to be approved. So we have our budget committee, the finance committee from last year, which was Mike, Bonnie, Alyssa, and Jenna. I hope everybody can do it again.
Mhm.
And we probably should look for someone off the board, which I'll do, but maybe we can announce it at the March meeting and ask for volunteers.
That would have to be somebody in good standing?
Yes.
That's just a question.
Yeah, yeah.
So anyway, let's, if we can add that to the agenda for the March meeting. Try to,
You wanna add that
Get
to
some
the
more
agenda,
pictures.
or are you just gonna put it like under your report?
yeah, it could be.
Okay. Cause the agenda gets to be in the newsletter. I mean, it's pretty basic.
Okay, that's it.
It's so long since we've had Lisa here. Now's the chance. to
I think
try.
I just missed last month, I don't remember. Although I don't
You
even.
phoned in, you phoned in last month.
Did I phone
You're
in? I
the voice
had,
on the other end of the
I
phone.
had finance committee, I had advisory board, I had home and school association, like Tuesday. Last month was a mess. I don't have anything to add though, this month. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Don't.
Yeah, well, yeah,
And don't shame me, I have two smart kids, I have a job, you know.
He loves you.
I know.
It's just like, handing people the.
I don't feel bad.
Gary, as operations and roads, you must have something to say.
I do. The storm came through while I was gone. I'm glad I was gone. Moved down a few trees, we had to clean them up. I don't know how much that cost. But I'm sure we haven't gotten the bill yet because Carl's really good at getting bills. But it wasn't outrageous. Nobody was hurt. The property damage that I'm aware of. But we do have, we had a pothole, which is kind of unusual. We don't usually have potholes unless there's snow
All the snow, yeah.
or ice.
Oh, yeah.
But we do have one that looks like it's gonna take about 4 bags of patch to fix it. It's over on, in that street. Less than off of Walsh, which is off of Chestnut.
Sorry.
Other than that, everything is okay.
Good.
You wanna get into planning now, or do you wanna do it under old business?
Well,
right?
no, yeah, we'll do the beach on old business.
I'll just say that we haven't done anything since last meeting, so I got no report.
Bonnie.
I have just two things. One, I would love to be able to tell people at the general meeting that we have started removing the dead Phragmites canes. Rhea, have we,
Sorry, I was-
I'd like to be able to say that the general meeting that we've started removing the dead Phragmites canes, but are we?
Joe's going to do it.
Oh, he's
He
gonna
said
do
he
it.
can do it, but I don't think he started. Last week they were in, he and his wife, because she goes out with him. And, they were planning on doing it the next day, but then it rained, so
They would
it's
probably
on
start
their
on the
schedule.
causeway, and then, and do they have all the areas that, where we have to?
Yeah, I gave them the map.
Okay, all right, good.
I made a copy.
And the other thing, and not really part of what the environmental committee has been doing, but actually, that you have talked about how you and Eric have cleaned up along the causeway there and the kinds of debris that's been mounting up there, including stuff like computers or whatever.
Computers.
It was an Xbox.
Xbox.
But Rick had, he had gotten a lot of, we had cleaned up along the shore, but he had actually put his waders on and gone into
Yeah,
the Lake Charming, and it got out a lot of trash, and one of the things he got out was the Xbox.
Oh my
But we
gosh.
didn't go at the same time, so Eric and I spent all this time cleaning up, and we thought we had the shore kind of cleaned up. And then we came back, and as we were walking back, there was this like black, like, I thought it was like a computer console thing, but he said it was the Xbox that he
I
had
wouldn't know.
plucked out a lot, but he had also found like syringes and
Yeah, I mean,
other.
so if that's an environmental problem, what are we doing to?
The newsletter is gonna have, it was going to be the front page, and then I didn't have room for your piece inside, so I switched it all around. Anyway, so I included the pictures that he had sent, or his wife had sent, the needles and
Yeah.
something else, and mentioned, it's an article, I'll send it out.
Do we
I
have
wrote a little
anybody
piece
who
about how stupid
We can
people
routinely
are.
have go police those grounds and,
Well,
I mean,
I
and you
have-
guys shouldn't have to do it. You and Eric shouldn't have, I mean, it's,
To me, it's like the whole mentality that
Yeah.
strikes me.
Yeah.
How do you
Yeah.
educate people
Well, and that's how I
not
wrote
throw
the
the
piece.
trash out? You know?
Yeah.
that's how I wrote the
but
piece.
the
like,
same people
you
that
know,
aren't gonna clean up after their dog
are not going to,
they're not
exactly.
gonna do that either. I mean,
Exactly.
we're preaching to the choir.
And if you put up a sign, no littering, they're not gonna read the sign,
Right.
Just
littering.
gonna let it, right by the sign.
Yeah.
So you think they're
People
throwing their
park
stuff
there a lot?
directly
They
into
do,
the
they
lake?
fish,
It's not
which
like
is
trash
fine, you know,
bags
they
or
go and they
something
fish,
that's
and sometimes it's
breaking.
kids play or whatever.
Mhm.
And that's fine, but sometimes they leave their trash, I mean, you see
I'll
beer
send them.
cans and Gatorade
Yeah.
bottles, and like if they have chicken that they put on the end of their hooks for fishing, they leave chicken scraps and,
Weird.
you know, it
It's-
is.
Oh, you know what, I was gonna say something along those lines. Did you guys notice that landscaping company, the Honey Cove Landscaping people that came around and hung all the things on all the
Yeah,
mailboxes?
yeah, then they blow down.
And they
it's
blew
trash,
down,
right.
so I
Yeah.
emailed the person.
That's right.
And I just said, you know, not only is it illegal that you do that, but now there's litter all over the place.
Not a good advertisement.
No, that's what I said, and, I said, you know, a lot of these people aren't here all the time, and I took my dog for a walk just around the loop,
Yeah, I
I said,
picked
I
up
found
some
6
too.
of them,
Yeah.
you know? And she kind of fired back and was like, you know, we pay for so much advertising, we're trying to keep our company in business over the winter, it's very difficult, and I thought, that's still no, and I actually sent to Rhea, and she was like, you know, I Googled it, and it's illegal to do anything in and around somebody's mailbox unless it's
They're
posted.
gonna put it in.
They can't do that,
They
they
can't?
cannot do that unless it has postage on it.
Oh,
Those are like door hangers, that's what they have, and I'm just like, I'm not trying to, but I just thought, and I still walk around and I see them in the woods now, and I pick them up and they're faded, and I'm just like, thanks a lot, Honey Cove, you know?
It's bad
Yeah.
advertising.
You litter in our community.
You don't, from my personal experience, you don't wanna deal with that company.
Well, I would want to, but that just supports
Can you
it.
have a
Wow.
lawyer send them a message then there?
A lawyer send them a
Well,
message?
or,
Oh.
yeah,
You're
or
okay for that?
How about you as a,
I
or,
can send them a
The
letter.
board, yeah.
I
You know,
can send them a
talking,
letter.
talking about stuff like that, did we ever hear from the, was it the Evergreen people that were speeding and littering
No.
while they were picking
No,
up
I
cigarettes?
sent them a letter.
And they never responded, nothing?
Oops, I wrote the wrong thing, because you're saying evergreen.
Yeah.
Honeycomb,
My fault.
yes it is. No, I never had a response.
Have we heard more complaints about people complaining about
Speeding?
speeding and trash after?
I
the
don't
trash truck goes by?
particularly care for them in general. We
Okay.
have them too and have had some, you know, issues with them a little bit, but I kick myself because we still pay for their service.
Yeah.
You know, so to me, I'm like, if we dislike them that much, we should cancel our service. We keep talking about doing it, but we haven't done it. But I have definitely, but they weren't when they came around and solicited to everybody's house, it was $66 a quarter. Like 2 years ago, when they came around and scooped everybody up, and then they increased it, and
Oh, did they?
they did, and
I think it was
Waste
25.
management
We're paying
does that too, no, we have.
everybody
waste
does
management
it, and they
where-
get you in a contract, and my husband was
Yeah.
in Minnesota last year for 2 months, and I wanted to cancel them, but I did not wanna go to the dog, you know, so we've kept them ever since.
I always just went to the dog.
And I should just go, you
Yeah.
know, but they've been so rude, I've had to call them twice, and they've been really rude, they
They're
race through the neighborhood, I have seen like the destruction that they leave behind, you know,
Yeah.
trash cans in the middle of the road, and I'm just like,
Yeah, and so I did send them a letter, and I don't know, I haven't heard.
that doesn't surprise me.
I'll send one to Honeycomb.
Yeah.
Yeah,
For
nice.
whatever good that is, and I'll.
Everybody's gonna love you, Rhea.
I know.
It's not cool.
So-
And Tony signed it
Yeah, right, yeah. I'll sign it.
for Tony's
Mhm.
spouse. So,
Yeah, but yeah, it's not right.
If we're done with that,
Anyhow,
one
I'm
more
done.
thing.
Yeah.
Well, I wanted to mention, I almost forgot, I got a letter last week from MDE, Maryland Department of Environment, and it talked about new regulations and if you treat for invasive species and so on and so forth, and I'm thinking, is this about mosquito control? Because they mentioned mosquitoes. So I called mosquito control and sent it to them, they had no idea what it is. So I called the number on the letter, and it's about when we're ready to reapply, that there's new regulations. But we'll find that for the Phragmite treatment. We'll find that when we go
Well, Mark Smith
to
will.
reapply,
will surely
yes,
know.
yes,
Sure.
so just
But
to
there
let
is
you
something-
know.
I mean, I got a thing in Bethesda saying that the landscaper, they no longer can use certain
I
pesticides
suppose it's something.
and herbicides, and
Right.
that's
The
for
ones
the
that
whole
work, you
state.
can't,
Mm.
yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Right.
So,
That's how you.
Anyhow, I'm done.
Peter.
Yes, good news. Wow, amazing. First of all, we had the storm that Gary mentioned that came through, wiped out a bunch of our electricity for quite a while. But Rhea had electricity.
Ah,
Why?
I did.
We have an emergency generator
Nice.
that we all paid for about, 7 years ago. So this place was safe and running and you didn't even know. So I just want you to know the emergency generator is good. The other thing is,
You're welcome to, if you want to use this, if you want to use this water.
Yeah.
I just think it's important we know that we're getting something back for the money we spent and maintain. The other thing is, I keep in touch regularly with the Emergency Operations Center. There's a new director up there, and he has a new staffer who's responsible for reaching out to communities. I invited them to come down. They spent an hour here going through what we are as a community, why we're a private community, STD, our roads. I explained to them why that we're here and how we exist. Explained to them that we're in touch with them through the internet or through radios. And then I took them down to the Drum Point Club. The president down there, Mary McGowan, was there, and Bruce's Fall was there. And they were happy to see that area because we're so isolated down here. We're surrounded by 3 sides by water. I mean, it's really amazing how isolated we are down there. And I pointed this out, that we don't have water, this is all, self-sustaining. So they were glad to hear that. And so we wrote up an article for the newspaper, took some pictures, and the Calvert Independent, we were in touch with them, and they are going to publish it probably next week. So it'll be in the newspaper, so that's good.
Everybody has it.
And there's a copy of the article there.
I didn't use the pictures.
Okay, the third thing is that I went up to a commissioner's hearing this morning. On Tuesday, they had their hearings, and the good news is that they have gotten a special appropriations for communication and emergency, of which the Calvert Amateur Radio Association and RACES and the association that we do, we're getting $20,000 to upgrade some of our communications equipment, both in the county and wherever we need to do it. Now, I can't apply it here, I don't think, but the county has the money. They have a budget that we submitted to them some time ago, which allows the communications of last resort, which is what the AMs are, to plug in and upgrade their equipment. So it's all good news, and I think we're moving ahead and going to sustain our capability. Fortunately, the lady, I went down to the EOC this afternoon after talking to the commissioners. I gave greetings to Mike, who grew up in the McCall's house. I don't know if you know that, but one of our commissioners grew up right here, and he's our local, Mike Hart, our commissioner. But I also pointed out to them that the CERT program was abandoned here because of liability insurance. And they are looking into paying premiums so that organizations like the CERT program can be reinstated and have liability coverage, but they have to get the money for the liability, workers' compensation kind of insurance, which insures firefighters and EMT people too. So that's a complicated issue that the lawyers are gonna be dealing with for some time. I don't know what the result is gonna be of all that, but it's a complicated issue. But my whole purpose in this is to keep setting the flag down up at the EOC and the county level so that they know that they can get in touch with us and we can depend on them when and if we ever have an emergency out here.
Do you know what the new tower by the high school, is that part of the emergency network system? And do you know what that is? And would you be willing to tell the people at the board, or at the general membership meeting what it is?
Yeah, I can do that. Most of the communication is up at Prince Frederick. There's a huge tower, you know where the Ford dealer is? Across the street from the Ford dealer,
Well,
there's
there's
a
multiple
big,
towers in
there's
the
a big tower.
southern part of the county.
The reason I mention that is that did not give the police and the ambulances enough coverage down here. So they put that one up by the high school. We live in a atmospheric radiation hole here, and this county's crazy because it goes way up and down, north, south, and there's no center to it really. And so they had trouble communicating around here, and that's with that smaller, it's a smaller antenna than the big ones. But that's what I understand, but I can look into that. And
Well, I heard also something about part of the 911, the new 911 networks and.
eventually, we're gonna go digital, we're still
Yeah.
analog, so it may be that. It's, some of these, you know, the one right here is for cell phones.
Well, right, yeah, that, but this,
This one.
the one
is-
at the high school, the one, there's one up, similar one up by the dump. There's another one further up Route 4 that are all, you know, they're tall, they're configured with a whole bunch of non-cell phone antennas and they're,
Some of it is county communications, they have microwave shots.
right,
They're little round dishes, usually with
Right.
a cone on.
yeah.
Those are just sort of like landline communications. They're not radio at all. It's just a way for the county to send data from the dump, for example, or the fire department up to the county. It's a data and landline type communications. The radio stuff though, I'm not sure what all is on this one, but it is police, fire and rescue. I mean,
Well, they have a complicated.
I just thought it would be, you know,
I can brief you.
just general interest as a,
I can get more
they never
details.
really published anything about what that was.
Just-
Yeah, I drive by it every day.
So
So they're not for cell phones at all, those big tall?
Well, I don't know, they may lease, you know,
Portion of
cell
There's
phone
no
space
cell
on it,
tower,
I don't
there's
know,
no
but
cell
they,
antennas.
but they're not,
I just assumed
not
that's.
put there
Me
for
too.
cell phones.
There's no cell antennas.
No,
Mine has always worked pretty well, so I've never really pockets.
Cell
I'm curious, have
antennas
you
are
ever
like
had an
that.
emergency?
Here,
Yes, that you've had to deal with
yes,
here?
we have, yeah. We've had a serious snowstorm with the Lake Drive was closed off with power lines all over. And we've been out of electricity many times here. So that is the biggest extent that I recall that we've had down here.
Well, there was Hurricane Isabel, and then, I mean, years ago, and Ernesto came through, which in some cases was worse
We
than
had that big
Isabel.
fall storm too.
big ice storm.
Oh, that's
Closed,
right.
lots of roads.
In answer to your question, what we do here is we have to decide what is done by our private contractor to clear the lines and so forth. And he can't clear anything until the power is turned off. The fire department is reluctant to do anything, so you have three different coordinations that have to go on. This is the place where we pull all the information together to coordinate all that. So the fire department, Smiko and Carl can come in and hit the priorities first. And unless we're here to coordinate that, Carl won't be able to do anything. Smiko will respond to them, the fire department is off doing other things, or may be able to come in and help us, but we're a private organization here. And the fire department can come in and save lives and do that, but it's really our responsibility to also make sure that access is available to the community. So it's more of a coordinating and a damage assessment is what it boils down to. What is the problem in our community? And unless somebody calls in, or we won't know what's going on unless we sort of take a look around. Gary spent hours and hours during storms and after storms driving around, seeing what is our problem and what do we have to do about it.
And working with the county about what the approach would be.
So, I mean, this is an important job, and as I say, the other thing is to keep the county focused on our situation down here. Now, the CRE is a real problem because they have done nothing along this line, and the county doesn't appreciate the fact that they're not really geared up for emergency responses. They have their own staff and their own trucks and everything, but it then gets what happens there is that they start blaming each other. CRE starts blaming the county says, well, you're a private organization, you should do it. We don't have that problem here, we have a pretty smooth interaction. And now, I'll just mention that with this virus going around, I spoke to them today about that. There's a big meeting tomorrow of all the county resources in anticipation of talking about this virus that's going around. And I said, well, is there any specific guidance for communities like ours? And they said, nothing more than you would be able to bring up on the internet in prepare.gov or whatever that is. But if there is anything, they'll let us know if there is something. But so far, they're gonna have a big meeting tomorrow on this, and we'll see if anything comes out. But at least no news is good news from the county, I guess. But, you know, I'll let you know if anything comes up.
All right, let me switch something around. Is there any new business? If there isn't, then we'll do old business. All right, no new business? All right, okay, the old business is, you know, we started a while ago, as everybody knows, looking at the beach and what can be done, if anything can be done, should anything be done, or whatever. And we investigated various things that are going on in various other communities and what sorts of things they put up. And then we had an engineer come in and look. And basically, we're at the point now where the next step is we have to, it would require further study and a price estimate of anything that we would want to do. And that's gonna, those two steps will cost $10,000. And we were discussing it before the meeting started of how do we want to go about doing it? And I guess our general consensus is that we have to present this to the general membership and say, okay, you know, we told you before we're going to look at the beach and this is what we've done. And for us to take any next step, it's $10,000. You want to do it, or what are the options? And Gary was pointing out what, okay, the guy said we can bring in sand. Sand is bringing it in is what, a minimum of 20,000?
20K.
Minimum of 20,000, probably more. So, you know, that's more than the study already.
And that would have to be done yearly.
Well, yeah, if you go that route, you gotta do it yearly.
As it depletes.
There's one, then there's, of course, there's the option of do nothing. The problem with that option is that the beach is assessed at what, $90,000. It's an amenity to the community. And Drum Point is considered a waterfront community, and the beach does add to everybody's property values. And we collect fees for beach maintenance. So, you know, that's another thought that has to be brought into the mix. What was the other option?
The jetties.
Jetty, I mean, the breakwater.
That would be the study.
Part of the study.
There's three, they're
Oh,
not
oh, oh,
10,000,
oh,
20,000, or 30,000.
Oh, yeah, the three, it's do nothing, bring in sand, or go for the study. And, you know, see what the study says, see what they recommend we do, and see how much it would cost. And, you know, our thinking was we go to the general membership at this March meeting and we present those three options and see what they wanna do.
Should I put that then as a separate agenda item on the, rather than just
Feature,
a committee
feature,
reports?
feature road, maybe,
Yeah.
is it?
Yeah, I
And
think
that, I
that's-
think it's
yeah.
important enough.
Yeah. Now, the question is, can we explain it enough to ask for absentee ballots?
But that's not what the ballots are for, the ballots are for,
Well, but we can make another ballot for that, no?
Well, you could, if, you'd have to define,
Yeah, but there's so much to explain, I don't know how we could do it as an
I don't either.
absentee
I
ballot.
would say, if I may, do your presentation and then bring it up for a vote at the June meeting, maybe.
And then you
And then you could have your
define
absentee
some absentee ballots and.
but you have to have the budget ready for June, so.
Oh, I see.
Well, we
You
have
really
that-
need to get that done at
Yeah,
the
we
March
have,
meeting.
I mean, but I think we also have to be sure people know we have the money, it just has to be earmarked for that purpose, we're not
Right.
asking them to chip in more
Yeah,
money.
yeah, nobody's gonna get assessed
They-
any more money or
But if
anything.
if a lot of people.
But if we could get people to agree
Mhm.
that we can do it, does that not give us the green light to do it now?
Yeah.
if you could get it, just get it approved at the meeting.
Yeah, but, well, they probably won't
Yes,
have
it
a
does.
quorum.
Yeah, it's an amendment to the budget.
Right.
You're talking about we won't have a forum for March
You
28th?
have to have a quorum, that's why
Well, we have,
you
we have.
Everybody's
come
gotta
up with
knock
a
on some
reason.
neighbors'
Neighbors'
doors
doors
And you
and,
can't form an absentee ballot when you really don't even
yeah,
know.
Yeah,
to
you
have
know,
some-
you can't do it.
it's too vague right now.
Right.
Anyway, but that's the old business.
Yeah, but, cause I asked the question earlier, you said, if we have absentee ballots for the, from the board,
The nominating.
that, and we have enough of them, that constitutes a quorum for the meeting.
Sure.
So then you could go ahead and do this, right?
That's where I was going.
That's
with
an
it.
interesting
Oh, really?
idea. That's an interesting idea.
Yeah.
That's
Oh,
where I was going
I
for.
mean, it's kind of fluky,
I
but
just
that's
need
what
to
the,
work on the
that's what the
wording for
bylaws
the
say,
absentee
so.
ballot. I need to work on the wording
Yeah,
for that
but
absentee ballot.
to approve the slate of candidates and not have, an election.
Didn't that happen last year?
It happens
Yeah,
almost every year.
It does, by
Yeah.
With
acclamation.
absentee ballots, was?
Well,
Not,
No.
not to present the slate of candidates, no. The absentee ballots are always, we always try to gather
let,
those for the
let
June
me
meeting
run,
for the
let
budget.
me run how it could go down, okay, and how it typically goes down. The slate of candidates is presented by the committee. And somebody from the floor says, oh, wait a minute, we've got 3 openings and 3 candidates. Instead of going through the whole balloting, or, you know, the sending out ballots for everybody to vote on, why don't we just unanimously accept them? And there's a motion and you vote on it. That's why you need an absentee ballot, because if it goes, it can also, someone can nominate somebody from the floor, then you can't do it, you have to go for a written ballot, okay? So it's an absentee ballot if it comes to a point to where you can have that vote.
So that's what the wording would be, if at the next general membership, well, yeah, there's a
There's no
motion to
guarantee there's
elect by.
gonna be a vote.
But couldn't you, it seems to me that you would, on your absentee ballot, you would list the slate
Right.
and ask for a vote on the slate, on the absentee ballot. Now, somebody in the floor could say,
It makes all that invalid, you could do it
Makes
that
it
way.
all invalid.
just do it that way and say,
Yeah, that's even better, I like that.
we, you know, we move to acclaim and go on.
We elect by
And then you have-
acclamation, if there are no nominations from the floor.
Right.
Otherwise, then it goes out the door
Yeah, but
because.
Well, you don't have to say anything about nominations from floor, just say, this is a ballot to,
Elect by
elect these
acclamation.
people by
But we
acclamation.
don't know who they are
Okay.
yet, how can we make up absentee
He
ballots?
does.
I know who they
Oh,
are, I
you
can
know.
make that.
You would
I
have to
mean,
put,
we all do.
they should be on the
I know.
absentee ballot, so that those people, in the event that you don't have,
Mike and Alyssa
Oh, okay.
and Maggie.
so if you don't have a motion for acclamation, you still have a vote. I mean, you've got absentee
I don't
ballots
know
that
that, okay.
voted for or against that slate.
That's right.
Then on the floor, somebody could say, I make a motion that we
Nominate,
approve by acclamation.
right.
And
But what if there's a nomination from the floor?
Right.
Then it's for naught.
Okay.
We can't do it.
Then it's all garbage.
Yeah.
So then we'll mail
Then
ballot
it-
anyway.
Yeah,
Okay.
then it's,
Yeah, but by then you've already done the,
but see, then again,
and
you
your
still, by the bylaws, you have
You still have the
absentee
quorum.
ballots
Yeah, that make up a
constitute a
quorum.
quorum, so you can go ahead and
Do business.
Do this
conduct
other
that
business.
business.
Okay.
Robert's rules does require that the presiding officer has to ask, are there any nominations?
Yep.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah, we do, yeah, we
You
do
can't
everything.
just go the way,
We try, but we don't.
whether anybody knows that.
Certainly.
All
all right, without objection, then we'll
Moving
move
right
on.
along.
That's Robert's rules.
We could present
We
it
don't have to
in
follow
foreign
Robert's
languages.
rules, although we claim.
Well, we claim we do.
We can present it in
I
foreign.
think that might even be in the bylaws that we
It
do.
is a,
So if we have this absentee ballot, which is basically going to be for not electing the new members to the board, are we putting anything in about the beach erosion?
No, we don't have anything to put in, but if we get enough absentee ballots, then we have what's considered a quorum.
Now, people have to ask for the absentee ballot, is that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I'm not gonna.
Or you can offer it. You know,
Well, yes, if
we were
someone
talking about
comes
us
in,
going
I'm
around
talking
to
about
your
it.
neighbors.
Yeah, oh, yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
if
yeah.
they say,
Yes, good
I
point.
can't make it, you
Good.
say, well, how about signing this absentee ballot?
Right,
Yes,
Right.
okay.
and I think, again, with the budget,
Mhm.
last year, I think, Peter, you brought several in, Mike, I think you brought several in, and
Okay,
various
okay.
people brought at least one or two, or, we
Yeah.
had quite a few.
Okay.
When do the absentee ballots need to be in? By the meeting date?
For the meeting.
By the
So we
meeting
should be
day.
getting those out to our neighbors like right away.
Yeah.
I haven't even made them, but yeah.
Yeah, we should be, well, we should be talking to
As
her.
soon as
Yeah,
possible.
It's
Why
on
don't
my
you
list.
why don't you just set up an email to everybody and we can burn around?
Okay, I can do that.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Alright. You'll want to come in and pick up envelopes though, because it has to,
They have to be.
in an envelope that is marked ballot, which I have.
So if we need to,
So-
we'll come in and get the envelope.
Yeah,
mark and sign
yeah.
and put in a seal.
So I'll email it to you, but then come and grab some envelopes.
Okay.
Anything
Well, that's
else?
gonna be filled out when they sign it?
Mike has,
Yeah.
when you have your budget.
I have a question.
There's no filling out.
Ask Jack.
Well, you made the allegation, so
Oh, okay.
where, it's probably in here somewhere, but where is the beach maintenance in the budget?
They don't have a-
I went through today and, you know, it comes in various parts, it's sanitation, the trimming that we do there.
Under right-of-way maintenance?
Okay, so
Common property,
it's part of just common
common law,
property,
common, yeah, maybe,
it's not
that's,
called out as a separate line item.
There's no beach
So we
line.
can't really tell people how much
No.
they're contributing to the beach.
Yeah, that's an interesting
no.
question.
I don't know, we could go and,
Could we ever do that?
Oh, boy.
I bet if you went through your invoices, your
security is
work
beach,
tickets and all that, boy, that would be a pain in the neck.
security is beach money,
Right.
Yeah.
and, yeah, you know, and like you said, the trimming,
I bet
that's
we could
all
put a
beach
wag on it.
maintenance, we could probably put, yeah.
Well, even if we didn't have a number, if we just could say that our budget includes money for beach security, for beach cleanup, for
Right.
beach this, for beach that.
Maintenance, right, okay,
Mowing,
so
all sorts of things.
I can just take the budget, like, and highlight those areas.
Because if somebody looks at the budget, they're.
Right, because it doesn't say beach maintenance,
And
it
we
says
had to
common
repair the
property.
gate too, remember the big gate got broken back there?
Oh, that was years ago, that was an insurance claim,
That was,
yeah.
that's part of the cost of
Do we
the.
still have a gate?
About a
Yeah,
quorum,
yeah,
Is
the-
it-
the entrance
by
gate.
household or by
It's a
person?
big,
By
big
household.
gate.
Okay,
I've never
Yeah,
seen it closed.
so you and your husband count as one.
okay,
There
that's
are
what I
also the,
thought.
the security cameras, Jack knows that, and so does
the
Gary.
security,
Oh,
that we
that's
pay the
right.
deputies and
Yeah,
the personnel as close to the gate.
Guard, you know, the gate guards.
yeah.
Hey, so it adds up.
We're cleaning up the stubs, remember the tree stubs, that we had to pay for that.
Well, I,
Getting
the
the bird off
vegetation
the beach.
removal permit for the bird off.
Had to buy a picnic table,
Yes, we did.
the porta potties.
Porta potty.
The more we think about it, the more things we think of.
Well, the liability insurance, I mean, it's a amenity, if
Part of
somebody
it,
gets
yeah.
hurt down there.
All right, next meeting? Or does anybody have something else to say at this meeting?
Anybody April seventh, I think the first Tuesday in
April
April.
2nd, I think,
No, April seventh, April first is on a Wednesday. If I'm not mistaken.
You're right.
So the seventh would be that Tuesday. I won't be able to be there.
Yeah, Candy.
April 7th?
The first is on a Monday.
Huh, is that after Easter?
No, Easter's
It's,
mid,
Easter's the
mid,
12th.
of the 12th, yeah.
Okay, well, that's good, yeah, I'll be here.
April
Seventh.
7th. Does that mean everybody's,
No, I won't be able to hear it.
I'm not gonna be
Monday,
here.
Jenny,
If
And
that's
what day of the week is that? That's
It's a
Tuesday.
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 It's a regular Tuesday. I don't know why I asked
I
that
was
question.
thinking that, I was gonna say that.
Yeah,
Never mind.
We were thinking about
I
changing
answered
it.
my own question. It really threw me off.
Like I said,
Right.
I can't
Yeah.
look at all
Yes,
that.
it is.
I'll tell you.
I don't have insurance on it either, so,
Oh.
Good thought.
well,